Hey, what's going on, YouTube fam? This is me, Dwight, the coding coach, you guys. So, in today's video, I wanted to talk to you all about some of the differences between AAPC's CPC and AHIMA's CCSP. Now, to start off, I am a CCSP, you guys. That stands for those of you who don't know, that stands for Certified Coding Specialist Physician Based. Now, the AAPC has a Certified Professional Coder designation. Now, AAPC has it set up to where if you don't have any years of coding experience, I think it's maybe like a year or 2 years, maybe. I think it's at least 2 years, maybe a year or two of coding experience, you'll be designated with a CPCA on there, and that just basically means apprentice. Now, a HEMA certification doesn't work like that. If you don't have any coding experience and you just so happen to pass your CCSP, then you're just going to be a CCSP. Their entry level or apprenticeship coding certification is a CCA, which I did start off with before in the beginning, which is a certified coding associate. So you kind of see how it is. And then AHIMA actually has it set up to where they have their CCA, which is a certified coding associate. However, it is supposed to be like not necessarily the AAPC's version of a CPCA. It is because with the HEMA CCA, you actually are doing some inpatient coding and some physician outpatient coding. And for those of you that are new to coding, you may like, what is you talking about? Inpatient coding, outpatient coding? I thought it was just coding, so don't get confused. But as you go further along in the process, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to adjust this camera. I feel like let's see. All right. There we go. That's much more better. So, as I was stating, they're quite different. So, the CPC is what it stands for, Certified Professional Coder, meaning that you're strictly dealing with your CPT codes, your HCPC codes, your ICD-10 codes. Whereas if you go for your CCA, which is your Certified Coding Associate, which is through AHIMA, then you will have your ICD-10 codes, ICD-10 CM codes, which is the same thing I just said, ICD-10 codes. The reason I'm going to let you know why I said the difference, because you have your CM and then you have your ICD-10 PCS, which is what the hospital utilizes for that, for their facility billing. And then you're going to have your HCPC codes as well, and you're going to use your CPT codes too. So you kind of get a general overview, so to speak, of the coding arena. And the reason why they have it set up that way is because it's designed to give you an opportunity to figure out exactly what type of coding field you want to be in, whether you want to do physician or you want to do facility, or if you wanted to do maybe outpatient facility, which is different because they have your APCs and stuff like that. So that's different too. So it just kind of gives you almost like a fresh, like an entry level way into the coding arena. A lot of people start off as a biller or a billing specialist or medical billing specialist or something like that. And they kind of tend to work their way into coding. And oftentimes what I found out is that you would start off as a biller, like that's kind of like charge entry and things like that, where you're just basically sitting there keying the charges. And that's to get you familiar with the CPT codes, entering the diagnosis codes and things like that, and working the edits. And oftentimes, a lot of those people that start off in the biller, they tend to find themselves wanting to do coding, but they may go into more of a collection type role or a reimbursement specialist type role. And that's just basically what they're doing it from like a billing standpoint. So they're kind of handling billing related denials like authorization numbers, things like that, insurance revocation denials, maybe pre-search, which is kind of the same thing as an authorization denial. So they find themselves doing, and it's not that they find themselves doing that, they kind of gravitate more to that because it gives them a little bit more of an investigational type of they get to use their investigational skills when they're doing that. Also, when you're coding, it's you do have to kind of dig a little bit and do some investigating, but it depends on the specialty that you have. And kind of our investigating is quite different than what a collector's investigating would be. And I've been in both roles too. So, I can speak to the duality of it or whatever the case may be, because it's kind of when you're investigating as a coder, you're looking for information. You're looking for something that's going to give you that fact that states that, hey, that guideline that says this is what this is. But when you're investigating from a collector's standpoint, it's quite different. You're looking for things to help you make your argument, to help you, justify why you did what you did and why this claim should be paid. It's still facts, but the reason that you're using those facts for is quite different, which may get you some type of different information as well, because it depends on what that insurance company stands for and what they believe in and what they want their diagnosis to be, and what they, not just what they want their diagnosis to be, but what they're willing to pay for in their coding guidelines or and things of that nature. So those are just kind of some of the career paths that you can take, but those are just some of the more common type career paths. You have people that go, you can be a CDI specialist, a clinical documentation improvement specialist, and that's something that they look for a lot of nurses to do. At first they had it where it was just kind of coders, then they changed it to where it's coding. The healthcare reimbursement was just ever changing. So then they switched over to where they wanted only nurses doing it. And then they switched it over to coding again. And so it's just kind of like it's shifting back to coding and nursing. So it's just kind of like, okay, so that's something that's good for a nurse to do, to get into as a clinical documentation improvement specialist. And those AAPC has one too, and I think they call it a certified documentation improvement specialist, and I think AHIMA is a certified documentation improvement practitioner or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I do know that they both have their own certification as it relates to clinical documentation improvement. So that's something that for the nurses that are out there and they're looking to break into the administrative side of the healthcare field. And I know I speak with a lot of nurses too that are wanting to figure out how can they break into the administration side, because they're tired of being on the bedside. They kind of want to get into the administration side, the administrative side of things, working for insurance companies, like being a pre-cert nurse or something like that. They can even be a case manager as well. So, and case managing for a healthcare field is completely different than case managing for like a counseling type field. And I can speak to the counseling type field because I am a licensed chemical dependency counselor, level 3 intern. So meaning that I passed my tests and stuff like that. So I know that that's completely different versus looking up case management and resources and stuff like that for someone who's dealing with substance abuse or maybe having some type of mental illness or something like that. It's completely different than someone who needs case management regarding a stroke, so it's keep in mind, it's like it has the same name but it's completely different. And you oftentimes find that in the healthcare field that you will look at a position and it'll say coding specialist. Excuse me, guys. It says coding specialist, you guys. It said coding specialist. And you would sit there and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm a coder. And then you'll go ahead and you apply and you look at it. And then when you look at the actual details and the description, the job description, you're looking at it, you're like, wait a minute. This isn't a coding specialist. This is a front desk clerk, medical biller, looks like they got a little bit of AR in there, and it's just like, but it just depends on the it depends on the practice and where you're trying to work at. And so I mean and I'm laughing, you guys, because it's just like the three don't even mix. They don't even match. I mean, it's like kind of bundle everything together, and it's like, no, it's not the same. And I hear so many people say, "Oh, you do coding and building." It's like coding and building. Like what? No, I don't. I don't coding and I ain't building nothing. It's like, you mean coding and billing, or billing and coding, or building and coding. Like what? You think I'm building something and then coding it to make sure that it's incorrect, that the building codes are correct? No, that's not how that works. And also, you guys, I want you to get this out of your head, thinking that the computer is going to do everything for you. The CAC, the computer assisted coding, is going to do everything for you, because it's not. It's not. If anything, it requires you to think a little bit more, because if you're looking for something and it's generating one thing and it's going a whole nother way, you have to, especially 3M, you have to know how to navigate that. And you're still going to have to think, and you're still going to have to pull out your books. I know they're trying to do away with the whole utilizing your books and things like that, your CPT books, your ICD-10 books. So a lot of coders are having to purchase their own books, because they're using like Codify, Encoder Pro, things of that nature. But you still have to use your book, because it's just more easily accessible when you're looking for something, especially once you become specialized. It's easier to have your book right there. And some things, even though they say that it's there, it's not there. And as you guys start to go further along on your coding journey, you'll start to see why they have that little meme of the cat with the glasses on looking in the book saying, well, according to the book, it states, because that's like they call it our Bible or whatever, because that's what we go off of. Like, that is our manuals. Like, that is our, holy grail. Like that book, the book states this, and that's what we go off of, because that's what the AMA states. That's what Medicare is going to go off of. And a lot of people follow Medicare guidelines, even though Medicare don't follow their own guidelines. But that's a whole nother story, whole nother topic, I'm not even going to get on that. Um, because, but I know why Medicare is doing that, though, because I also too was one of them risk adjustment auditors too. So I also know why Medicare is doing that, and they have a good reason for doing that. So that's why I'm not gonna just sit here and bash Medicare, Medicaid. So I don't want to make this video too long. I just kind of wanted to get on here and talk about that. I don't know if I said in the beginning, but my name's Dwight. I am a certified coding specialist. I've mentioned that I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor intern, and I'm also a certified professional life coach. So what I do is I'm actually a coach. I call myself a coding coach, because that's what my niche is, I guess, so to say, so to speak. Niche or niche, however you want to say it. Can you believe? Yes, I can. Yes, I can pronounce my S and all those with this too. So, down, dirty belly. I like to. I'm a jokester, you guys. Like, I like to have fun. I'm a coder at heart, but a counselor at heart, but I'm a fun guy. Fun times. But anyways, so that's what I do. I decided to strictly focus on healthcare, mainly the allied side, the administrative side of it, healthcare management, healthcare information, because that's where my skills lie. And also, I feel like having your coding background has it's so many different type of transferable skills, like being analytical, uh, detail oriented, typing, actually formatting documentation, so there's so many different types of skills that you learn as being a coder that you can transfer over to a whole nother field. You guys, when I was getting my counseling license and things like that, you would be surprised how much of the skills that I learned in coding actually helped me in the counseling school as well, you guys, because it's still all healthcare related. And even though I'm not, and even when I was doing case management and things like that, you guys, it was still so valuable knowing how to look up the information, knowing how to actually be detailed when you're writing an appeal, when you're writing over a transcript or something, you're just writing something over to send to someone to justify what it is that you need. Those are those appeals, when you're sending those appeals into those insurance companies and things like that. Like, those are transferable skills. So those are some of the skills that a lot of people have that they don't even know that they have already in different fields. Like, I found out that people in the apartment community do coding as well when it comes to certain types of things. So you would never you never know exactly how much, how many, how valuable, how transferable your skills are. I apologize, that you already currently have. So that's something that I was like, by me just being who I am and being in the field and being in different places, working at top 500 Fortune companies. I worked at a company that was a top 50 one time, 100 one time, so, and that's not to toot my own horn, but that just goes to show you just how much effort and work that I put into this particular field. And I did this without a degree at the time. I have a degree now, but I didn't have one at the time. That's just 2022 back then. Just wanted to let you know when I got my degree. I've been doing this for about 14, 15 years already. I had one of those trade school diplomas from, it was Everest at the time. They had just got over a whole name change, with NIT. So they was just in the process. They had just changed their name over. They was doing something different. They was Everest at the time. They're called Arterias now. Now I don't know what they're gonna call themselves, but they were just kind of going through that, so that's just, I took that. And needless to say, I mean, when they tell you it's what you make out of it, it is what you make out of it, because what they gave me, they gave me an introduction to they said, hey, look, let me tell you about coding and billing. This is what this is. Surprise. Now, my teacher, Miss Moore, she was really good. Miss Ponders was good. Miss Garcia. And so I did have some good teachers there too. I was a bit hard headed because I didn't want to listen. I went and got one of them wrong certifications, which is not necessarily the wrong certification, but it did not help out if you're wanting to be a coder. So if you're wanting to be a coder, I would suggest that you stay away from those other organizations that give you coding certifications, because it's not that there's an actual law that states you should have this, even though they tried to put something in Medicare and some type of, I think it's a something to do with the AHIMA too, magnet status type of thing. But there's no law that states you should be AAPC or AHIMA or NHA or the NHAP. There's no real PMIC. That's no real, that's no law. It's just a preference in what a person prefers. Oftentimes, people who have a certification from a certain organization prefer certifications from that particular organization, not because they think that it's better, but that's just because that's what they know. So, I'm not want to say birds of a feather flock together. They just kind of came to like, but not to say that that's the thing. But yeah, so that's kind of why I decided to do this, and I've always found myself helping people and wanting to bridge the gap and things like that too. So it's like, okay, what better way than to do something that I've always been doing, that I've already been doing. And I get a lot of people that come to me interested in the coding field and wanting to know about it. I've spoke on it on other people's platforms too about coding and things like that. I refer people to a lady that I know who does her own coding school. So, coding classes online as well, you guys. So I have a lot of resources there in that particular arena. And I'm familiar with the healthcare management sector, the allied healthcare field. So it's just like, it's like a no brainer almost in a sense. Um, while I'm working toward my master's, because that's the ultimate goal, to get my master's in counseling to be an LPC. I'm thinking about being a career counselor, kind of focusing more so on that. But yeah, that's later on down the line, But it's always a ever growing process, and so that's kind of why I decided to do coaching and specifically in this particular area because that's my specialty. And as you guys will find out on your coding journey or any type of healthcare field that you decide to, any type of part of the healthcare field that you decide to go into, the more you specialize, the better off you will be. Like, being a jack of all trades is good in the beginning, but in order for you to become a master, you have to specialize in something. So just always remember that, pick a specialty and run with it. Even if you're a nurse, even if you're a medical assistant, even if x-ray and things like the x-ray techs, MRI, well, maybe they could do it too, because they can specialize on certain types of things, but they kind of gonna have to kind of know everything. So it's a little bit different there. But those things you have a specialty like patient-centered things, like medical assistant, nursing. Phlebotomy is just it's phlebotomy, but it also depends. It also depends on the job description, because you could be a tumor registrar, uh, cancer, that's a whole nother specialty in itself. And the protocols and the things that you do there is quite different because you're dealing with a lot of people who are on chemo. So their skin may be brittle and things like that. So you have to know how to draw blood from them in a certain kind of way and be familiar with drawing blood in different areas like your brachial and stuff like that, and all the other parts of your body that you can draw blood from. So it's just a lot of different things, like a lot of nuances and things like that you may seem, it may seem like it's just a simple thing, but maybe a quick learning curve, but it speaks volumes to a hiring manager, because believe it or not, in healthcare is so busy. You stay busy, so they really, any less thing that they have to train you on is better for them, because they automatically know they're gonna probably have to train you on a system if you don't know the system, like Epic, Cerner, I don't want to say Oscars because GC Trinity, Athena. Just kind of, those are just some of the places that I'm thinking, systems that I'm talking about. I'm thinking of another one too. That's why I'm looking off. There's another one. There is another one too. Nova, no. There's another one too. I can't think of the name of it, but like I said, they each have their own. They have so many different systems. Those are just some of the common systems that they utilize. SMS is an old system, shared medical services. I think that's an old system. This thing looked like a Macintosh type of thing. IDX is kind of like a version of SMS too, if I'm not mistaken. That's an old one too. But anyways, whew, man. So that just goes to show you that I have a lot of knowledge to share. So if you are interested in booking a possible coaching session with me, you guys, you can reach me at mymentor.life/Dwight Levon, or you can visit me on my page at heal.me/Dwight. Either one of those platforms where you'll be able to go directly to my profile, see what I offer, see more about me, book an appointment, or you can email me directly at Dwight, that's DWIGHT, .yourinfo@gmail.com. Okay, that's Dwight, DWIGHT, like Dwight Eisenhower, Dwight Yoakam, Dwight Howard, .yourinfo@gmail.com. Stay tuned for some of my other videos that I'm going to post up here too, talking about the coding field and just things like that. So stay tuned, you guys. I hope to hear from you in the comments, and if you like the video, like it, and share if you care too. So stay tuned, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.